You are listening to Thelma FM, and this is Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard programme number 18. And as usual, it is a very eclectic mix of tunes, and they are all on 78. We start with a late one for us, actually, 1957, and it's a good old bit of British skiffle from the Vipers.
Oh, I was born 10,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing ring around the roses, and I whipped the guy who says it isn't so. Oh, I saw Satan when he looked the garden over. So Adam and Eve were driven from the door, and from behind the bushes peeping saw the apple they was eating, and I swear I was the guy who ate the coal. I saw Samson weighing in his village coal, saw Daniel tame the lions in the hole. I helped build a Tower of Babel, I say we're able, and as many other things I haven't told. Oh, I was born 10,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing ring around the roses, and I whipped the guy who says it isn't so. Now Mary, she fell in love with me. Got married in Milwaukee secretly, but I got tired and sugar and went off with General Hooker and fighting skeeters down in Tennessee. Oh, I remember when the country had a king, so Cleopatra pawned her wedding ring, and I saw the bags of flies when George Washington stopped lying on the night when Patty Grace began to sing. Oh, I saw Nero fiddling while the burned up road. I told him it looked like his future home. When he had the nerve to holler, I grabbed him by his collar and cracked the pills in a bottle on his dome. Oh, I was born 10,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing ring around the roses, and I went the guy who says it isn't so.
Oh, that was a good old rollicking start, wasn't it? That was the Vipers, as I said, from 1957 on the Parlophone label, and they were the big rivals to Lonnie Donegan, the other big skiffle band. Now, Parlophone, this was actually produced, this record, by George Martin, who 5 years later became the producer for the Beatles. The band was made up of many, many people over the years, Wally Whiten being the kind of leader of it, and I remember Wally Whiten on Radio 2 in the 70s when he became a presenter. But other members were actually members of the Shadows at one time. Hank Marvin and Bruce Welch, I believe, were in it, and also Mike Pratt. Now, Mike Pratt was an actor and singer-songwriter. He was, if you remember way back in the day, here on British television, Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. He was actual Randall, and he was also a songwriter, and he wrote Little White Bull, which Tommy Steele recorded, and Tommy Steele also had connections with the Vipers. Anyway, let's move on. We've got a couple of numbers I'm going to run together. You are listening to Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard, and this is a trawl through little known, haven't heard for years, haven't been on air for years, 78s, or sometimes we dip into LPs, etc. We can have a couple of Western swing ones now. We're starting off with the wonderfully named Light Crust Doughboys, and then we go into Hoosier's Hot Shots. But I'll run these together and tell you about them afterwards.
She's the beer drinking mama
mama, a beer drinking mama, who drinks her beer each night. Says she won't drink water, no she don't want water, cause it won't make her tight. Oh baby, she's a beer drinking mama, a beer drinking mama, who likes her beer just right. She's a cute little dear who can hold her beer. The beer drinking mama, the beer drinking mama, the beer drinking mama of mine. She don't want water, no she won't want water, cause it won't make her tight. Oh baby, she's a beer drinking mama, a beer drinking mama, who likes her beer just right. She's a cute little dear who can hold her beer. The beer drinking mama, the beer drinking mama, the beer drinking mama of mine.
The ball game, boys. What do you think?
There we are. We heard Hoosier's Hot Shots, Take Me Out to the Ball Game from 1936. Now they went on from the mid 30s to the 1970s. What an incredibly long career that was. They made also quite a lot of film appearances during that time. Before that, we heard, as I say, the fantastically named Like Crust Doughboys, Beer Drinking Mama. I do like these songs that are far from romantic, but do talk about women drinking alcohol. I should have said Hoosier there. Now, what's that strange word from that previous band? Hoosier is a native of Indiana. So there we are. Like Crust Doughboys was an early band for Bob Wills, who was a bit of a western swing legend. We come back over the Atlantic and we're going to have some British artists now. This is George Chisholm, who had a huge long career, born in Glasgow. This is from 1938 and is part of Decca's British Swing series. George Chisholm there with Archer Street Drag. Now, George I can't even say it. I'm wearing these teeth. George Chisholm went from 1934 right into the 90s, and he was a trombonist and would often accompany people like Coleman Hawkins and Fats Waller when they were touring in the UK. Quick shout out to David Donaldson. If you're going out, wrap up warm because it is very cold. This next record is a favourite of mine. I played him a few times. It's Joe Daniels and his Hot Shots in, I love this, in Drumnastics. He was a drummer, and this is a bit more of a lively one than our last record. It's Blues in Boogie Boogie, and I will shout this out to Francis. This is a nice energetic one. That was a quick ending, was it? I like that. I do like that. I like Joe Daniels. One of those bands that wasn't maybe at the top kind of rung of artists, but nonetheless did some really good records and lasted a good old long time. Still paying in Butlins in the 1960s with his band. That was a cracking one there. Just a message here from David, 2 pairs of Long Johns Donaldson, who tells me that Hosier's Hot Shots did a record back in the 30s called We Like Bananas Because They Have No Bones, which I must try and track down because who wouldn't like that? Now, next we've got Billy Cotton. Now, Billy Cotton had a long career, British band leader. This is a very specific record with a very specific subject. This is a kind of celebration of the Festival of Britain, which took part in 1951. All the World is Coming to London.
London, dear old London. Like a magnet, it is attracting the peoples from the four corners of the earth, north, south, east and west, by land, sea and air. The focal point is this great city. It makes you think, doesn't it? Yes, indeed. All the world is coming to London.
In 1951, all the world is coming to London, and won't we have some fun? We'll see Britain on the street everywhere we go. All the world is coming to London for the great big show.
The Danish, the Dutchmen and such men, sailing up the Thames like the Vikings of old.
Yankee Doodles come to London, everybody hollers, hip, 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 hooray, he's come to spend his dollars.
Frenchmen we are going to see, and all the girls from Gay Paris. Ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la, oui oui.
All the world is coming to London in 1951. All the world is coming to London, and won't we have some fun?
We'll see Britain on the street everywhere we go.
All the world is coming to London for the great big show.
Well, that was another rousing tune, wasn't it? Celebration of the Festival of Britain in 1951. The only part of the structures that were made for the Festival of Britain is on the South Bank, and it's the theatre there. The rest of it was torn down when Winston Churchill came back into power. There we are, a little bit of history for you. Now, next up is George Formby in a Wigan garden. Do you know George Formby's films used to be on the television when I was a kid, and I was never much of a fan, but subsequently I do like the lad, and we'll talk a little bit about him after we've heard.
Talk of your beautiful meadows and fields and your parks so grand. Talk of your wonderful gardens down at Kew. I know a spot that can beat all the lot, it's the best I've seen. Keep all your hills and dales, put me with the slugs and snails in a little Wigan garden where the dandelions grow, with me sweetie frowsy flow. Round the mulberry bush we go, underneath the Wigan palm trees, there I bring her up to scratch. We have such a game on the cucumber frame, I show her the cabbage patch. When the morning mildew frightens our shallot, scented breezes coming from the chimney pot in the little Wigan garden, when the soot is falling down. Oh, what a place, what a case, a disgrace to my hometown. All sorts of things, some with wings, some with stings, every night appear glowworms and silkworms and Wigan earwigs too. Crocuses croak with the fog and the smoke from the gas works near. The one thing that only grows is the wart on my sweetest nose in a little Wigan garden with me little Wiganese, getting stung with bumblebees between the cabbage and the peas, neath the Wigan water lilies where the drain pipe overflows. There's my girl and me, she'll sit on me knee and watch how the rhubarb grows. Neath the shady trees to my loved one I cling, while the birds above do everything but sing. It's a rotten Wigan garden, everything grows upside down. Oh, what a place, what a case, a disgrace to my hometown.
You're listening to Thelma FM, and this is Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard. Thelma FM is the broadcasting arm of the Living Memory Association. We are a reminiscence project here in Edinburgh, and we have a hands-on museum in Ocean Terminal Shopping Centre, the Little Shop of Memories. You can come in 7 days a week and pick up objects and have a good old look and reminisce and wonder what these objects were in some cases. Right, that was George Formby. Now, George Formby, as I said, always associated him with rather a cheesy performer, but my God, he was a master of the innuendo and double entendre. If you want to listen to a good example of that, my little piece of Blackpool rock. But also, George and his redoubtable wife and manager Beryl toured South Africa in the late 50s. Now, they both refused to perform to segregated audiences. They wanted to perform to a mix, and they wanted to perform to black audiences, which is in fact what they did, and they were escorted by the security people at that time to the airport and told to leave South Africa for that very reason. So there we are. You see, for only reason it was their own morals, they decided that segregation wasn't on. So I say good old George Formby. Obviously, he's a well-known music hall film star. This is Phyllis Robins, who I hadn't heard of. The Sheffield Bombshell from 1934.
I've been a lonely spinster on the shelf. I'm right fed up with spending all me wages on myself. I'm all prepared for married life, its secrets I've been taught. And here's some of the little odds and ends I've been and bought. One bridal gown, one eider down. I've been saving 'em up since 1894. Got me ribbons and me bows and me these and thems and those, all packed up in me little bottom drawer. One baby's cot, one flower pot, where I've planted a rambling rose bush for the doer. Got a motto for the wall, it says heaven help us all packed up in me little bottom drawer. Got a piano under the staircase, and I'm teaching myself to play the Maiden's Prayer. One toilet set, one bassinet, now I'm waiting for luck to open up the door. Got me Aristotle's works in a case of eggs from Perks, all packed up in me little bottom drawer. I've answered every advert in the Matrimonial Times. I bought me own confetti and a set of wedding chimes. At night I count me treasures just to see they haven't strayed. I'm very patriotic, everyone is British made. One chiffonier, one keg of beer, and some orange and purple lino for the floor. Got a new pyjama set made of bright red flannelettes, all packed up in me little bottom drawer. One Persian rug, one china jug, and some silverware from Marks and Spencer's store. got a book by Dr. Five, how to be a perfect wife. All packed up in me little bottom drawer. We'll have a bathroom, oh what a bathroom, with a wonderful bath where we can keep the coals. Or shoe for luck, tail for the muck, and a president Hoover's cleaner for the floor. If me plans all go to pot, I can sell the blooming lot. All packed up in me little bottom drawer.
Hey, I liked that. That was very kind of almost George Formby, Gracie Fields, isn't it, of that mode. Good old northern humour there. And any song that mentions lino and fascinet. Brilliant. Phyllis Robins, as I say, known as the Sheffield Bombshell. Obviously, that's a bit of a comedy number. She debuted in 1921, had a very long career, did lots of records, sang with Ambrose and his orchestra and other orchestras. So she was also a very serious singer. She was 5 foot tall and she was peroxide blonde. If you want to learn more about her, she had, let's just put it, a rather complicated private life. There's an excellent piece on the 78 RPM Collectors Community by Terry Brown. It tells you all about her and her life and her career. Talking of 78s, there aren't many places that play them on air. I thoroughly recommend 78 Man, who does he's done about 50 podcasts of 78 records. You can get him on Player FM app, or you can find him on Facebook. 78 Man, excellent half an hour shows which usually take themes. The latest one is instrumentals for November. Continuing on in our British artist mode, again somebody else I'd never heard of, Florence Desmond, and this is Hollywood Party Part 1. She was an impressionist. So we're going to get here, can't wait for this, Jimmy Durante, Greta Garbo, Tallulah Bankhead, Marlene Dietrich. So let's have a listen and see exactly how good Florence is at these impersonations.
Hollywood by Janet Gaynor. For this occasion we'll suppose it's her birthday, and I want you to imagine her there with me meeting all your favourite film stars. I'll introduce you to Janet Gaynor and she'll tell you all about it herself.
Hello, everybody. I'm giving a little party tonight. I have all kinds of celebrities coming along. Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, Tallulah, and a whole lot of other people. And I've got a big surprise for you. That quainted English comedian, Miss Gracie Fields. She arrived in Hollywood today, and I've asked her to come along too. Well, I guess I'm all set. I'm a dreamer, and we all just a schemer, and we all... Here we are now. Why, Yazoo Pip. Oh, I never thought you'd come along.
Say, you're the only person who'd ever get me to go to a party. I suppose I have to wish you many happy returns of the day. Though why anybody wants to go on living these days, I can't imagine.
Oh, Snazzle, Jimmy Durante. Oh, mortified. I got a present for you. Oh, Jimmy, how sweet of you. Why, it's a pair of... That's okay, I got 1,000,000 of them. I got 1,000,000 of them. What, everybody? Here's Greta Garbo.
Oh, there you are, Janet. I didn't see you at first. You were so little. Will you please take my Macintosh? It is very wet. I have been fishing with Clark Gable. I hope you don't mind. I have brought my own supper. You see, I only like my own cooking. Have you little corner where I can be by myself? Oh, no, don't introduce me to anyone, please. I just want to be alone. I want to be alone.
Will you be all right there, Greta? I've just seen Tallulah Bankhead coming in.
Oh, darling, bless you all. Oh, Jenny's looking too marvelous for words. I can't stand it.
Oh, I want to introduce you to Greta Garbo.
Oh, I've been dying to meet her. There is she.
Oh, Miss Garbo, this is Tallulah Bankhead.
How do you do? I'm delighted to meet you. I'm crazy about your pictures. In fact, I'm an absolute fan of yours.
Oh, you are very kind, but who are you? Are you an actress?
Oh, my God. Oh.
Oh, Marlene Dietrich, come in. I'm afraid I can't stay very long. I have to be up at dawn to be sharp. No, not another spy picture. Just a studio. Von Sternberg does not like me going to parties. When I tell him the truth, he doesn't believe me. When I tell him a lie, he does. So like a man. Goodbye.
Jan Raven's Eat Your Heart Out. That was Florence Desmond, who made quite a career as an impressionist. She also was in a few films. She was in Sally in Our Alley, which is a Gracie Fields film in 1932. I think she kind of retired in the 1950s. As I say, I've never heard of her. And that's what Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard is all about, discovering these artists that you can find on these 78 records languishing in charity shops, etc. A lot of our records have been donated here, and I'm very, very happy to take 78 so that we can play them on this show. We're continuing with comedy. Sometimes comedy over the years of the decades hasn't really transferred into being exactly very hilarious to our modern ears. This is John Henry and Blossom, and John Henry was actually, his real name was Norman Clapham. He was quite a big radio star in the early 30s. This is from 1931. We'll listen to this and then I'll tell you about John Henry and Blossom, because it's a bit of a sad story.
John Henry, I've written a film scenario.
Oh, aye. What's the good of that?
Don't you realize that there are millions in it?
Millions of what? People?
No, millions of pounds.
Aye, there may be millions in it, but what are we going to get out of it? There's millions in the bank, you know, but you can't get at them. Where do I come in this?
You are to play the hero.
The hero?
Yes.
Do I wear spats?
No, you're not that kind of a hero at all. As a matter of fact, when the story opens, you are absolutely down and out.
Well, that's nothing new, is it? I'm always like that. Where's all this supposed to take place?
Alaska.
Ask who?
Don't you know Alaska's a place?
Is it a nice place?
No, it's a stark and frozen north. A land of dreary desolation and biting blizzards, where there's perpetual ice and snow.
Well, I shall want some new vests if I'm going there.
New vests? What on earth are you talking about?
Well, the only vest I've got hasn't a tail to it, and if I have to go sitting about on polar bears and icebergs, I know I shall catch my death of cold.
Now, when the story opens, you are discovered in Dawson City without a shoe to your foot or a shirt to your back.
What, with the thermometer 30 degrees below zero?
Oh, do be quiet, please. Don't you understand I'm only speaking metaphorically?
I don't care how you're speaking. I know I shall catch my death of cold if I've only got a pair of trousers on.
Will you be quiet, John Henry? As I said, you are discovered in Dawson City, stripped of everything that makes life happy and respectable.
You're not taking my trousers away now as well, are you?
News comes through that gold has been discovered in the Klondike. You rush up to Maria, your sweetheart, and tell her you've decided to go, and passionately implore her to be true to you while you are away. This she promises to do, but your conversation is overheard by your rival, Antonio Magluski, who swears to follow you and murder you on the way.
He doesn't catch me, does he?
We'll come to that all in good time.
It's because, Blossom, if there's going to be any nasty, dirty, sticky business like that, I'd rather be Antonio Magluski, if you don't mind.
Don't interrupt. Turning yourself away from Maria, you set out on your 400-mile journey.
How far?
400 miles.
How do we go? By train?
Train? There are no such things as trains in the Klondike. You walk.
What, 400 miles?
Oh, let me get on with the story. You set out on your 400-mile journey, dragging your heavy sledge behind you.
I've had to drag a sledge now?
Of course you have. You take all the tools and provisions on it.
Yes, but I mean to say 400 miles. Why, it'll take me all day.
For 3 days you toil on, and after fighting your way up the precipitous mountain pass, you are caught in a blizzard on the Yukon Trail.
And what?
Caught in a blizzard on the Yukon Trail.
Oh.
Why, what did you think I said?
I thought you said I was caught in the gizzard on a hook and nail.
Well, there we are. Well, there's part 2 of that, but I'm going to be kind to you and not play it. John Henry and Blossom. The rather depressive tones of John Henry and Blossom, who sounded quite pucker. Now, as I say, he was a big radio star, a BBC radio star in the early 30s. I think he started in the 20s, actually. But it is a sorry tale, and it is perfectly fitting in forgotten artists, forgotten songs, because I'd certainly never heard of him. Now, John Henry and Blossom went on tour in Australia and New Zealand, and Blossom became pregnant by John Henry. John Henry was already married, and sadly she died in childbirth, and subsequently John Henry in 1934 killed himself. So not a very happy tale. I wonder who Blossom was and what actually her name was. But as I say, this is part of finding out about the life stories of these artists as well, which is very much what the Living Memory Association is about, getting the stories, people's stories. Let's move on to a cheerier note, and let's get back to some good music, some out-and-out rollicking music. This is Luella Robertson, and we will listen to her singing Chickasaw Mountain.
Chickens are growing on Chickasaw Mountain. So many pretty boys that I can't count 'em. My true love, he lives in Breton, hating da-diddle-da-day. He won't come and I won't fetch him, hating da-diddle-da-day. I got a bow on Chickasaw Mountain. My true love is a blue-eyed dandy. A kiss from him is sweeter than candy. My true love lives in the holler, hating da-diddle-da-day. He won't come and I won't follow, hating da-diddle-da-day. I got a bow on Chickasaw Mountain. My true love is so good looking. Likes pretty gals and mountain cooking. My true love is a blue-eyed daisy, hating da-diddle-da-day. If he don't marry me, I'll go crazy, hating da-diddle-da-day. I got a bow on Chickasaw Mountain. Chickens are growing on Chickasaw Mountain. So many pretty boys that I can't count 'em. My true love lives in Breton, hating da-diddle-da-day. He won't come, so I'll go fetch him, hating da-diddle-da-day. I got a bow on Chickasaw Mountain.
Hating da-diddle-da-day.
Oh, that was too short. I was enjoying that. That was Luella Robertson and Don Robertson's Wanderers. Apparently, the band mentioned there was a bit of a misnomer, because a lot of that is Luella multi-tracking on the singing there, which is interesting. I'm presuming Don Robertson might have been her husband and maybe was producing that or playing instruments. Have to look more into that. You are listening to Thelma FM. This is Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard, and it is a trawl through some little known and certainly little played 78s. This next one is, it's a very early example from 1942 of the Hammond organ, and this is the Milt Hearth Trio. Milt was an early exponent of the Hammond organ, which actually came into use in 1935, which I hadn't realised quite that early. This is Sleepy Town Train. I guess that must have sounded pretty radical in 1942 with the old Hammond organ there in the background. Right, next up, I do like this. This is an extraordinary voice as far as I'm concerned. It's Rose Murphy, who was billed as the Chi-Chi Girl. I'm just going to let you listen to it and see what you think. It's called Gee, I Wonder What That Trouble Can Be. And just listen out. It's never heard anyone quite like this before.
Gee, I wonder what the trouble can be. Gee, I wonder what the trouble can be. Gee, I wonder what the trouble can be. Everybody's got the one but poor little me. Gee, I wonder what the trouble can be. Gee, I wonder what the trouble can be. Gee, I wonder what the trouble can be. Poor me, now Sue and Lou have boyfriends. Even Dummy Lane, Louise and Flo have found them both. So did Mary Jane. Gee, I wonder what the matter can be. What the trouble can be. Trouble, 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 trouble. What's the trouble with me? What's the matter? Gee, I wonder what's the matter with me. Gee, I wonder what's the matter with me. What's the trouble with me? Poor me. What's the matter with me? What's the trouble with me? Gee, I wonder what's the trouble with me. Nobody's got someone but me. I'm the type of gal who neither fat nor lean. I'm too bold and not too shy. In between. What's the matter with me? What can the trouble be? I wonder what the trouble can be. What's the trouble with me?
Well, what did you think of that? Wasn't that absolutely brilliant? That was Rose Murphy, the Chi-Chi Girl. And then again, she had a very long career, I'm happy to say. Scat singing was her speciality. Certainly never heard a voice quite like that. Now, if you've enjoyed this programme and you want to listen again or catch up, it will be out on Thelma FM on Saturday and Sunday at 4 p.m, on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Thelma FM is 24 hours playing. We largely have life stories and talking to people about their memories and experience, because that's what the Living Memory Association is about. But in between that, we have shows like George Reed's Soulville, excellent 2 hours of soul, which will go out this afternoon at 1:30. Charlie, remembering the 1960s, and other shows such as Barry, my colleague Barry, who does a show with acoustic music guests. And of course we have Analog Rory's Tuesday Blue at 10:30 on Tuesdays. Right, I do have favourites, and they're not exactly unknown, let's put it that way. But Bob Crosby, Bing's brother, is obviously lesser known than his brother. Now, Bob, get my B's right here, was pretty good at crediting vocalists and other musicians. So this is from 1940, and the vocalist is Bonnie King.
You'll find your life will begin the very moment you're in Argentina. If you're romantic, senor, then you will surely adore Argentina.
You'll be as gay as can be if you will learn to see like the Latin. For as soon as you learn, then you will never return to Manhattan. When you hear your te amo, you steal a kiss and then, if she should say mañana, it's just to let you know you're gonna meet again. I bet a low castanet that you will never forget Argentina, where there are rumbas and tangos to tickle your spine, moonlight and music and orchids and wine. You want to stay down Argentina way.
Brilliant. Bob Crosby there and his orchestra. We also have quite a few records by Bob Crosby and his Bobcats. That was Bonnie King singing there back in 1940. If you look on Google, there are other web search engines available. You will see Bonnie King has a website, and she was certainly still singing in 2011. Amazing. What a long career that is. Good on you, Bonnie. Now, I'm trying to end on a certain record at noon. You'll understand when you hear it, so it's all about timing this morning. If you are interested in the Living Memory Association, check us out on our website, www.livingmemory.org.uk, or we've got a very good Facebook page, again under Living Memory, or our radio station, our internet radio station, Thelma FM. Right, okay, let's have the other side of what we started with, which was the Vipers. This is Rock Me Daddy-O.
Now me and my wife went to town. Sail away, lady, sail away. Well, we went to buy a $10 gown. Sail away, lady, sail away. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Well, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Well, don't she rock me, daddy-o. She tried the green, she tried the red. Sail away, lady, sail away. I'll have them both, that's what she said. Sail away, lady, sail away. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Well, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Well, she put one on and it looked a treat. Sail away, lady, sail away. Then found another man to meet. Sail away, lady, sail away. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Now Mr. Lee, my girl alone. Sail away, lady, sail away. Well, she gets what she wants at home. Sail away, lady, sail away. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Now don't she rock me, daddy-o. I'm going upstairs to pack my trunk. Sail away, lady, sail away. Don't find a bar and get me drunk. Sail away, lady, sail away. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Yeah, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Oh, don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o. Don't she rock me, daddy-o.
Oh, I'm just going to fade down the Vipers there because I want to get at least some of this in. It is Frankie Lane. It is Do Not Forsake Me, My Darling, from the film. Yes, you see what I did here? Yes, High Noon.
Do not forsake me, oh my darling, on this our wedding Stay. Do not forsake me, oh my darling. Wait, wait long. I do not know what fate awaits me. I only know I must be brave, and I must face a man who hates me, or lie a coward